22. We have two meetings this evening. First, we have a public hearing, and then we will proceed with the trustee meeting. So the first meeting of the evening, I move to call to order the Fairfield Township Board of Trustees public hearing. Mrs. Schultz, will you call the roll?
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Here.
Trustee Birding.
Present.
Trustee McAbey.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all.
So let me see, did I meet the requirement of item A on the agenda?
You have to call the hearing to order.
Okay.
Motion.
Okay, so I move to open the public hearing regarding case FTZ C22-2C, First Church of God of Hamilton, Ohio, DB doing business as Bridgewater Church. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that passes.
Everyone is going to testify in this public hearing. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got?
Okay, wait, may we have the zoning staff report, please?
Good evening. I presented some documents to the board in advance of the meeting. I'd like to go over the case briefly at this moment. The subject property, 3100 Princeton Road, is located north of intersection of Princeton Road and Gilmore Road and is between Winford Avenue and Walden Pond Circle. 10.75 acres of the area is currently zoned business planned unit development, and 3.3 acres of the subject property is currently zoned A1 agricultural district and is comprised of three separate parcels with a combined acreage of 27.473 acres. The current boundaries of the BPUD is comprised of 10.75 acres and will be located on the western portion of the property. If you're following along, the 3.3 acres that is currently zoned A1 abuts the following zoning districts: R2 directly to the north, BPUD to the west, A1 to the east, and M1 to the south. Could you advance a couple slides? There we go. So the description of the use, the applicant's currently requesting a zone change for 3.33 acres from A1 to BPUD, Business Planned Unit Development. The applicant is also requesting a major change to the approved preliminary PUD plan. They are proposing to change the outside boundaries of the development to incorporate the 3.33 acres into the BPUD. Now, little finding of fact. The 10.75 acres that's currently incorporated in the PUD was approved on August 12th, 2020 with 15 conditions. On December 16th, 2020, the trustees approved the final PUD plans for Casey's General Store. The general intent of the applicant's current request to rezone these additional acres is to increase developable area and to create more room and flexibility for potential users. A little background. Let's go to the next one. Actually, yeah. The Butler County Planning Commission reviewed the case and recommended approval, and with 14 comments on April 12th, 2022. Go to the next slide, Julie. And then on May 18th, 2022, the Fairfield Township Zoning Commission recommended approval to the Board of Trustees and incorporated, let's see, 6 conditions for approval of the applicant's request. Let's keep going a couple more. There's a visual of their plan. The applicant is here to present on their case. If the board trustees has any questions for me, I'm available to answer those now or after the applicant.
Any questions from the Board of Trustees?
Not right now.
Okay, anything further?
That's all for now.
Okay. Maybe we have the presentation by the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Jay Stewart. Address is 10307 Riverwalk Lane, Loveland 45140. Thanks for having us. I have been working with the church for 3 to 4 years now, starting at the beginning of these efforts. What I'd like to do is I've got 4 or 5 slides. I keep it short and to go through primarily what the changes are since the 2020 approval of the original or the current BPUD. So if you'll look at this slide right here, as Mr. Goen said, the additional land area is 3.33 acres. It would be actually a tad bit less than that because we have to dedicate the area that's in the right-of-way out front on Princeton. So it's going to be, I think, closer to 3 acres in net acreage if approved. Okay. Thank you. And then I wanted to show this one to provide some context. This is the plan that was approved and it's currently approved right now. You'll see that you'll see Casey's in the lower left. You also see that on this plan we had a cul-de-sac, and that was designed as either a 1 or 2 phase. That was actually the build out phase, if you will, the second phase. You'll see the walking trail, the perimeter loop there. And so really, I'll highlight the few changes here on the next slide, but the biggest change here is the cul-de-sac going away. And you'll see, if you want to go to that next slide, the internal roadway now, the cul-de-sac really just takes a right, a kind of a swooping right up to the future church property, okay? And again, the hope is that this would be 1 phase in terms of the roadway and utility infrastructure. It might be 2 based on, you know, how the development or how the lots sell, but the hope is that it's a single phase. Just to point out some items that have changed. So again, we still have the perimeter walking trail, of course, but again, in hearing one of the county's comments there in terms of making a connection to the township park, we did put, I don't know if you can see it very well, I think it's in that yellow in the top left corner, right south of that detention pond, we put a walking path easement following that. Oh, thank you. You can see the yellow there. So following that, retention pond boundary, coming across and then onto the adjoining property up north towards where it hits the township park property. So again, what we wanted to do is we wanted to ensure that there is an easement, that connection, that path connection can be made, basically. And that would be triggered when that north west lot would be developed and the user and the layout would be known. Another change is that this plan at this stage shows a right-in only on that lot. I forget what number that is. Lot number 1 on the corner. That'd be a right-in, again, a little slip right in. Then there'd be a full access as it goes to the north of that, as the other 3 lots would have. Okay. We continued, if you look at the darker green, we continued the 100-foot basically buffer zone, if you want to call it that. It's basically a no-build zone. Most of that area, well, that entire area has existing mature vegetation, trees primarily, and that varies in depth from 65 to 95 feet of actual trees. And so that's where we came up with, on the first plan, 100 feet deep. And so we just carried that line over. So again, no structures can go in that zone, and then you cannot take down any of the existing vegetation as well. Okay, and that will be written into the easement that's recorded on this document. Okay. In terms of a couple other changes, again, if you look, it's hard to see on that, but right here, I'll point. Right, the church is right to the right of that cul-de-sac. Go down a little bit, scroll down. Okay. Right to the between the development and the parking lot that you're seeing here on the church side, there's even though it's outside of the PUD area, there's a 15-foot buffer yard easement. And we put that in specifically. We, the church, made that a requirement of the purchase agreement with the developer, that the developer construct a mound that can be maintained. And on top of that, there will be tree plantings and bushes. Okay. Reason we did that is that the church has no plans to leave in any foreseeable future that location. And since we're going to be living there of sorts, we want to make sure that that we are screened sufficiently, visually and from noise. So again, that's and we offered to put that on our property, which and that's fine with us, and we would maintain that. So we want to control the maintenance of that. And what it also does is for that 15-foot strip, it gives a little bit more developable acreage for the developer on the actual PUD side. So those were the 4 or 5 really the changes that we made. There was some other comments from the county, that we added in terms of we had the same design guidelines document basically that you asked us to put on the 2020 approval. We did add that all exterior lighting should be non-cutoff lighting, so that's been added to the design guidelines. And so just looking at this shot right here, you'll see lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is simply to give you an idea of what could be. Nothing, there's no, to my knowledge, no users or purchasers under contract at this time. But at least I think on the frontage out there, I think the odds are you'd probably see some version of 3 lots like that. And I think as you look at the back area where we're just showing 2 lots, just to make something up, that could be 2 users. That could be 1 users in theory. That could be 3 or 4 users. We just don't know. And as you can expect, I mean, the frontage lots always go quicker, but certainly those are going to be very prime lots in the back as well. So with that, I wanted to spend the time highlighting, the changes. And again, reason we're here is we're, with the church seeking out a developer, since they're not in the development business, even though we did do some initial mass grading and retention pond and some other site items. It was the intent to look for a developer who does this every day and to do that. And then once talking to the developer, who's Jerry Royce, who is here this evening, he suggested, hey, if we could have a little bit more land, that gives a lot more flexibility, to do another lot or 2. And so that's why we're here today. So, and with that, that's all I have. I'll entertain any questions if you have them.
Are there any questions?
I do not have any questions this time.
So where's the 2 acres of green space?
So the green space, so the requirement, as you probably know, your code asks or requires a minimum of 20% in a PUD. I think we have 20.5, so just over 20%. Green space, if you go to the one slide, actually it's colored. If you go back to where you were, or basically the green space, you've got the retention pond and you've got the no build area, that buffer zone in the dark green up against the single family backyards. We did not include, I mean, we could technically, but we did not include the actual area within the pathway. So that's just the 2 big open spaces. That gets us to 20.53%, I believe.
And that means nothing will be built in there at all.
Yeah, well, right. So the retention area, the light green, obviously that's a retention pond. Nothing's happening there but drainage. And then the dark green, yes, that's where I was saying that's a no-build zone. And the second big piece of that is nobody will be able to take down any existing vegetation. And that will be written into the recorded easement that goes on the property.
And so how are you going to control the traffic going through to the church property?
Good question. And I should have mentioned that. So with this newer design, with that cul-de-sac now coming, right up against the future boundary with the church, the church is going to install some type of gate. The exact type, I don't think has been determined yet, but there's going to be a gate because obviously that's a big concern to the church that 7 days a week there isn't this cross traffic. Now that being said, from an operational standpoint, we've had a lot of discussions on this. That on the high traffic days for the church, weekends and Wednesday and Sunday primarily, that gate would be open. Okay, but on when there's not events or services going on, that would be closed. That would be the intent.
And that'll be on your property?
Correct. Yes, maintained by us and on our property.
Are there any fire issues with that, with having a gate there?
We'll have access to it, and we have
You have access on the, okay,
a universal key for those things.
okay.
Public right of way? I'm sorry, public street,
Private.
private?
Yep.
Built to
Built.
county
Yes.
code?
Yeah, and that's what we were told was the township requirement back in 2020. So built to public spec, but privately maintained. There will be a property owners association, HOA in the residential world, but a POA that will be made up of just like an HOA, made up of the owners there. The church will be a part of that. And that they will maintain all the common areas, et cetera.
Well, they won't be in the PUD, the church won't, right? So they won't be on the HOA once it's built out, right?
Well, certainly for a time, because again, the developer would not be taking down or purchasing all of that land. And so there's an option on the back end. So it's possible that the church retains the top piece of this. Hopefully not, but
The green space?
the green space will be put into the name of the POA,
Okay.
and it'll be maintained and enforced by the POA.
So is it possible for the church to still be a member if they sell all the property?
You're not going to be a member once. Okay, so even when everything is sold, the church will be, because of the infrastructure, which and that's something that we wrote. I believe we wrote into the agreement that we wanted to be a piece of that, a part of that POA, because again, we are potentially impacted. We want to make sure we have a seat at the table in terms of the drainage, primarily. Yeah.
But if you don't own any of it,
But is the church retaining owner? Yeah, please approach it.
Pastor Drew Wilkerson, and to answer the question, we continue because Kleinger's Engineering created the detention basin and the drainage for the entire piece of property that the church is on, as well as what we're selling. And we'll continue to own 2 acres that you don't see, but it's just beyond the detention basin between the Nazarene Church and the police department. So we still own 2 acres, but because of the detention basin and the drainage, which does impact the church and will, because all of our water drains, and that intentionally was designed for that, for the entire 27.5 acres. And then the other piece is the roadway is going to be a shared roadway so that we can be able to be on the property, have an entrance. And so we'll be with any and all of the people that buy. So Casey's currently, if whatever the developer would purchase, the church, and anything that isn't purchased that the church owns, we will continue to be a part of. So
So if I understand you right, it's going to be the rest of the church property, not just the 2 acres, will be in the POA.
I think we are continuing to finish that. You've seen a draft of that document. I know Chuck and I have had conversation with our attorney, and we are finalizing that. But technically, yes, the church will continue to be a part of that. And it just depends on who the developer is, who buys what property, where that percentage of ownership becomes. But the church does have to continue to follow the guidelines set for us by the township because of drainage. And last summer, we oversaw putting in not only the detention basin, but if you were to look, there is now a drainage piece that continually picks up water off of the church property and any other parcels as it moves toward the detention basin.
And you plan on keeping the other 2 acres that's west of the.
At this point, yes. It's not being rezoned. At this point, we're looking at keeping that.
Will there be sidewalks on both sides of your street?
No.
Yes, so that's part of your specifications, and we have public, or not public, it'd be private sidewalks, but yes, built to your spec.
You guys will maintain all that,
The POA will.
and you're gonna put it on the deed so everybody knows and doesn't call Jeff to push the snow.
No, that you won't ever get that phone call. So yeah, the POA maintains everything inside the development.
And which way will those buildings face? Those 3 lots that are on Princeton Road? You see those facing the private street so that the people driving by get to see the back of the buildings, or is it going to be a front on both sides so that the people driving down Princeton Road don't have to see your trash can and whatever else might be out there?
Right. I think the best way to answer it is it probably depends on the user, and it depends on the lot, well, and again, those are just conceptual lots. It may not look like that. I mean, the corner lot, which odds are is probably going to be the largest lot out of those 2 or 3 is my guess. That, again, depending on the user, they may want to orient that on an angle. They may want to orient it towards the west. If it's a skinnier building, maybe they want to orient it out front on Princeton. So I don't know.
The street, right?
Right.
I mean, we get the gas pumps, but we get the front of the store.
Right.
I would strongly suggest that whichever way those buildings face, that we won't be able to tell the difference from going down Princeton Road.
Right.
We don't want to see the back of the building.
Well, that's not going to be the case. We do know that. I guess what I was saying is we don't know yet where the front entrance would be, but it's not going to be the back. And keep in mind, we've had all these kind of discussions from a church and developer standpoint. And what's unique about this whole development is that typically you don't have the person selling the property still living there for years to come. I mean, so this is our front door too. And so we've put, several things into our private purchase agreement that, like that buffer mound on our side at the developer's expense and other things. We want to make sure that our front door, for our folks coming in, presents a good image, so, in terms of dumpsters, again, that's going to be fully enclosed, with brick or block, type of stuff. You're not going to see exposed dumpsters. I mean, certainly we don't want our parishioners to see that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different situation, but it is good for the township because we've put an extra layer of requirements on the developer and future users because we're going to be living next door and be neighbors. So.
And that the extra trees and things like that on your property, is there any way we could make sure they're not taken down in the future, or you change your mind, or it's not in the zoning, so we can't require it maybe, but.
I certainly can tell you, we're not going to want to take that down. We're going to work closely with the developer because they're going to be our close neighbors. And so as we've gone through this, what we'll be doing as a church is passing along all this information. I know pastors can change, come and go, even though I've been here 12 years now. But we're definitely going to make sure that the church maintains that, not only because of the separation between the buildings, but we want the look and the feel to be upgraded as well for the ministry of the church. And so, for instance, I was in a meeting today with the developers and our teams of people that we were hammering out dumpsters as far as enclosures and landscaping. And I think that's what's really great about this partnership, is that the church is heavily involved. We're not just selling a piece of ground. And so all the way from zoning, engineers, the developer, Casey's, we're in constant conversations with what's happening and taking place. So we want the township to feel good about the decisions made, but we also have to live with them and maintain them. And we are very much not just about selling property, but making sure that there's great relationships all around.
Yeah, real quick, another example of that is if you zoom in right below that cul-de-sac or look at that, again, this doesn't really affect the plan or the township much, but we put that striped area, almost like a triangle, right to the south of the cul-de-sac. That's a no-build area. Again, we put that in there to better protect the church. We didn't want a building or user to to orient and put that corner of the building there. Now you can put a dumpster there, fully enclosed and landscaped, but again, just to illustrate, we've gone to great lengths to make sure that we have, and that's probably our biggest front door, for our folks. And we're going to be doing some, front door amenities, future signage on our ground, in the future, near the gate, that, to have more of a statement piece.
And
So-
do you know if Casey's, when they got the beer and wine on the ballot and it passed, do you know if it was just their track, or did they do the whole, how many acres they had, or the whole BPUD?
I do not know. I don't know, but I would think that it just applies to them. If you're talking about the liquor permit or permit to sell,
Well,
That-
the issues that went on the ballot, it was, and I saw it, but I can't remember whether it was just Casey's track,
It would be
or whether
just,
they did the whole. There was more to the BPUD originally than just Casey's, right? So the question is, did they do the whole the PUD plan?
the liquor
or
permits
just
go.
Casey's?
They go to a specific user and a specific piece of property. I'm fairly certain it's not where you're
Well,
voting in.
that's a license, but when they put it on the ballot, it was a voted on issue, and I just wondered if they've already included the rest of that. And of course, the next question would be, are you going to somehow keep any other businesses in there from selling?
well, at this point, what we're doing is working with the developer. The kinds of businesses that the developer is looking at, even though nothing at all is in a contract position, would not be selling like even a mini mart would. It would be more of a restaurant possible style, if anything at all. So the church, we have a wonderful relationship with the developer, and we continually go back and forth. So our goal would not be to have an establishment that would cause problems with relationships with the church. And we're continuing to have those kind of conversations.
And I don't know why you want to write in. We really don't like those out here.
Well, most users seeking in that situation are going to want a write-in to get the traffic in. And then certainly if it's a write-in only, you'd have a full access at the top of that, at the north side, left and right.
Plenty of room at the north side. I don't see a reason for a write-in. I mean, Walgreens won't come if you don't give them a write-in, but the stoplight's there. It's, how many feet is that from where you're proposing the write-in from the intersection?
I don't recall the exact feet.
I don't either.
it meets the setback from the intersection. I do know that because there's spacing requirements where you put the, right in that.
And you're showing it, that's the far right corners where you're showing it, right?
Well, let's make sure you're talking about the same one we're talking about. You're talking about the one in the lot one.
And lot one, are you showing more than one up there? Right in?
No, there's just the one. See where lot one, like the LOT one is?
Mm-hmm.
Right to the left of that. That's where I was talking.
Oh, I see. You're coming off the private drive.
Yeah, we're not talking about.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about off of Princeton
No,
Road.
sorry.
No.
No, Princeton, on these lots 1, 2, and 3, or whatever it ends up being, there would be no access.
Okay,
We
good.
want to funnel everything to the light. No,
Okay, good. And that's
Agreed.
what I was saying. Take it to
Sorry,
the light.
agreed with
Take it
you.
to the light.
It's once you're in to get that traffic off into that corner property, is what I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, I see it up there now.
Yep.
When it's all built out, what will be the evaluation? What's the size of the business? 35 million, 10 million?
Couldn't, it's based on the businesses that go there. Again,
Right.
as you know, the zoning district, business zoning district allows a variety of uses, including retail, service, commercial, office, medical. I mean, so I think the big driver, the big variable, in my opinion, is what goes back on the back properties. Because that's more of up in the air. Is it
That's
Is it
likely
kind
to
of-
be
is-
retail back there.
Yeah. Is it going to be retail or commercial, or is it going to be, kind of single level office? Is it going to be a small medical practice or something? That's more the variable.
When is Casey's going to start?
In the discussions that I've been in, and even Chuck and I have been in a couple of discussions, the honest answer, which is really good coming from a pastor, the honest answer is I don't know. Our understanding was that in June, this is June, that they were going to begin. So I was in a meeting today, and some information was shared that Casey's builds about 40 stores a year, and it just depends on where you fall on the list. I don't know where this store falls on the list, but I hope it does happen soon.
But they've already bought the property?
They bought the property, that's theirs, and they've owned it since a year ago, April.
When you see a place get approved and then all of a sudden nothing happens, and you get a couple of, it's going to start, and then it doesn't, it makes you just wonder how far down that list it fell, or if it's still on their list. You know what I mean?
Well, I would imagine now that we have made it pad ready, if they don't want it, somebody will, that's for sure. But at this point, Casey's, I think Casey's is very slow in each and every step. So we were in a long relationship before we had final contracts signed.
Well, and we don't need another gas station on the other corner. We don't need any more tire stores.
Please tell your developer that the citizens of Fairfield Township would be overjoyed if a steak place came in.
I can certainly tell him
I
that.
think he heard it.
They
didn't he?
would they would be thrilled, because for many, many years, that's been something that our residents have said, please bring in a steakhouse. So that would be a home run. They'd probably throw a parade and be very excited that they could get
That's awesome.
steak
Yeah.
in Fairfield
You know, I
Township.
can't promise that, but
Just
we'll
put in a
work
good
toward
word
that.
for us.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I mean, I've been promising them a steakhouse every 4 years for a long time. Every time election comes up, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get you a steakhouse. Have no steakhouse.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Still like to see you in the TIF. Still like to see you in the JED. Did you guys have any of those conversations with Chuck or anybody else?
We had very brief conversations maybe 3 years ago, but there was nothing that materialized of
So you're
that.
willing to get in now?
I'll let the church speak on that one, so.
At this point, where we're at, we haven't pursued that. because our goal is to try to sell all that property. And so, we're just not able at this juncture to make that kind of commitment. So I think we can have the discussion with the developer, but to say yes tonight would not be in the best interest of the church.
I mean, the JED doesn't cost you guys anything, so it just, again, gives us a little revenue stream so that we can take care of that big highway out front. And if you've driven westbound on it, it needs some work. And that's just another way for us to have the revenue to do those kinds of things. You're shaking your head, yes, does that mean you're in?
I didn't say no.
The developer doesn't, he doesn't mind a JED.
My comment would be, we understand, but just like when the county said the road was gonna be to public specs, but we get to maintain it, we pretty much got a feel for what the county was thinking. So we are going to do all that we need to maintain and follow what the county's asked us to do. So.
Thank you.
Are there any comments from the public? Okay. Motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
that passes. Motion to adjourn.
second?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that passes. Do we need a brief break of any variety before we go to the regular trustee meeting?
March on.
Okay. The time is now 7:37 PM on Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. I move to call to order this Fairfield Township Board of Trustees meeting. Mrs. Schultz, will you call the roll?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Here.
Trustee Birding.
Present.
Trustee McAbey.
Here.
Tonight we have with us Pastor Andrew Hancock of the Allison Avenue Baptist Church, who will lead us in the invocation. And please rise. And once he's done, we will say the pledge.
Thank you. Let us go to the Father together. Gracious Heavenly Father, I come to you now as my King. You are the only wise King. Lord, that you're a wise King over all of creation. Lord, I ask now, knowing that I am only able to approach you through Christ, who shed his blood, and by the power of your Holy Spirit who draws us, our God, who is three in one. Lord, I ask that there be wisdom in this board as well as in this meeting. Lord, I ask that you would grant this township the resources to continue a vibrant and healthy community. And Lord, for these who are first responders joining us here this evening, as well as one who is about to be installed as full-time, Lord, I pray that you would watch over them and guard them as they serve this community. And may you be glorified, the God who is above all, whose blessing and honor and dominion is now and forevermore, in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have Resolution 2289, please?
Resolution authorizing the appointment of full-time firefighter EMT Bryce Hudson to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $17.25 on a 24/48 shift with a 12-month probationary period.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Hold on, any
Sorry.
comments?
Sure.
Discussion?
Bryce has worked with us since July of 2020 on a part-time capacity. He's graduated from the Butler Tech Fire Academy. He has experience working with City of Franklin Fire Department, Forest Park Fire Department, and he's currently enrolled in the paramedic program at Cincinnati State. So Mr. Hudson's going to be a great addition. Would you like to come up, please?
Okay. Anything further?
That's it.
Any
Is it-
comments?
Is this a replacement?
Correct.
Okay. Mrs. Schultz? We call the roll?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
And Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that resolution passes. So I'd like to invite my fellow trustees to join. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Bryce Hudson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of firefighter EMT
of the office of firefighter EMT
of Fairfield Township of the state of Ohio,
of Fairfield Township of the state of Ohio,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution
protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution
and the laws of the United States and the state of Ohio,
and the laws of the United States and the state of Ohio,
and the rules and regulations of this township,
and the rules and regulations of this township.
and I furthermore solemnly swear to abide by
I furthermore solemnly swear to abide by
and enforce the mission, vision, and values of the fire department.
and enforce the mission, vision, and values of the fire department.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Yep.
Smile.
For those of you that were here for the swearing in, there's cupcakes and refreshments over at the firehouse, so you don't have to stay for the.
But you're welcome to stay. We have a lot of great things here tonight, but we understand there's cupcakes and refreshments. So
I think we have to stay, Joe.
yeah, I'd like a
Thank you,
cupcake. But
Congratulations, Bryce.
Thank you.
okay, so let's move on to old business items for board discussion. Mrs. Vonderhaar?
So the first item we have is the health insurance renewal, which comes up due August 1st every year. I'm very pleased to present a renewal of 2% through Humana. That does include a no shop. This would keep if you went with its policies, it would keep everything the same. Total cost to the township would be $18,315.12. As we have seen the past several years, we've been fortunate to have employees enroll in the Go 365 wellness program. This year, we are almost at $28,000. That has been recouped, so it's more than made up this $18,000 increase. Plus, there are several months left where last year we ended up at almost $36,000. So that is where that's at right now. With dental and vision, we have a 2-year rate guarantee, so that does not renew until next year in 2023. So it started at 5%, dropped to 2%. I was shocked that it came in at 5%. that's where things are at with that. And there is a resolution for consideration. I don't know if there's any questions.
I would just like to comment that the Go 365 program, number one, it's good for our employees to be. The program challenges employees to get a physical at the beginning of the year. It encourages exercise. There's all kinds of different aspects to it, different tutorials and learning things. So it's a very, very good program because it does take a lot of preventative things into consideration. But I particularly like this program because there are some give backs to the employees through it. And I especially like it because of the money that it is saving the township. So we are, because of the efforts of the employees that are participating in it, they're gonna cover the increase, and I think that's fantastic. So at some point, I think we should recognize either within department level, the employees that are participating on that, and we need to thank them and show our appreciation because it does make a difference for our community and for all of our staff to be involved in this. So the other thing too is if staff isn't participating in it, we need to encourage staff to participate in it. And I think there's been some discussions about how that can be encouraged, but it's a great program, and I think we need to do more of it and get more people involved with it because this really helps the township and it helps us to be able to provide good health care for our staff. It's a win-win. Okay.
Okay, the next,
Uh-huh.
so the,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to, again, just get the big picture here. Roughly how many families do we have on the plan? Do you know?
We have 50, was it 57 total employees? Because we have a committee right now, Safety and Wellness Committee, that's working on how to, our potential to capture, so I'm going a little off tangent here, but our potential to capture is $144,000 if every one of our employees were to reach platinum level. So we have started a wellness and safety committee and are looking at ways to incentivize and increase the 30,000 to a much more significant number. So more coming on that. But I believe when we pulled the information, it was roughly 60 employees that were on there, but that doesn't include spouses, children. So it's over 150 on the plan, but about 60 employees, I believe.
Just shy of $1 million for just the medical. That sounds about right.
That does sound about right.
That's a large part of our budget. And then when you add the rest of it in, we're over $1 million, I would think. The dental vision, the other things. And that's at our current staffing.
Correct. And there's also the employee contribution,
Of
5%.
and the deductibles like 500 or something.
The deductibles were increased several years ago.
And what are they now?
Are they? It's, well, like, depends on what you're doing. 30 for when I go to the doctor, 250 if you go to urgent care, 500 if you go to in an ambulance to the ER. Maybe not in the ambulance, but to the ER. Oh, you want the full deductible? Yeah, 2,000. That family is what, 5? 8?
What's the, 8,000 is the maximum out of pocket?
8 for family.
So again, I mean, if we're in the process, apparently of hiring more additional employees. So that's a big cost. So I don't know, I think we need to work on that. You've got a committee, I would say work on that for next year to try to find any additional way, cost sharing. Or, you know, I've said this before, most people out there, if you have an option for health insurance at your work, you have to take it.
We charge 100 if a spouse could take it and doesn't. So we do charge, but yeah, that's nominal compared to, yes.
Nominal. That's more than it used to be, but again, it's been a couple of years since we talked about that.
Absolutely.
I would say again, as we add additional people, we have to find some way to try to keep the cost from being fully What, it's the same rate, fully taken care of by the township.
Well, I think that to your point, the $144,000 that we could potentially capture, that goes a long way for that. The other thing too is we have to make sure that as an employer that we're offering a good total compensation package, and that being healthcare, salary, au pairs, all of those things, so that we can in fact attract and retain staff. It's a very competitive job market right now. There's a lot of places that are hiring and they simply can't get enough people. And especially with the crisis that we have right now with being able to get first responders, both in fire and police. It's difficult. Not everyone wants to go and be a fireman or a policeman anymore, unfortunately. And we need those people. And so it's going to be important that as an employer, we choose that as a strategic initiative in order to hire, retain, and keep staff. But I do like the idea of working something with the safety committee to maybe bring in and realize more of the potential of that $144,000.
I've already seen a commitment, and I mean, our team is committed, and we have some representatives coming in. We already have the next health assessment, which we get that done once a year, which gives significant points towards Go 365. So all those things are in the work, and we know we need to make it a priority.
And we capture those new people when they come in, they can get into that program. too, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like we're still leaving $100,000 out there. If we could match
Without a
that.
doubt, without a doubt, absolutely.
And it's,
Yes,
and it's not about just taking away or higher deductibles. It's about paying for it. So again, as we continue to hire and grow our salary costs, our employee costs, we need to take a look at that.
thank you.
I guess it's too late to tell them we'll go down 2% and take it. I never have like that. If you don't put it out to bid, we'll do this. I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. But we'll take it. At
I just like
2%.
the 2%, yeah.
Well, and especially in today's day and age with healthcare costs being what
Shocked.
they are. Yeah. Okay, anything further on that topic?
No.
Next item, please.
The next item, I'm putting up a resume. You will see Miss Olivia Gilliand over. She came to visit, applied, seeing that we had posted for interns, and I was highly impressed. She is a Fairfield Township resident. She has attended, she's a rising senior at Fairfield High School, correct? At which one? Northwest, okay. All kinds of honors. I know you're involved in Rotary. I did see you there once at Rotary. She's affiliated with the Webster family in Fairfield, so a lot of neat background and a lot going on from what I assessed. She is very interested in studying political science and communications moving forward. So she came forward and asked about a possible intern for the summer, which would incorporate from now until August. So I brought it before the board. We can most definitely utilize her, but it really depends on where you stand on bringing an intern in. We had success with Benjamin Gunderson, who is now working for the Village of Camden as their assistant administrator.
What kind of tasks would you have her working on?
There's plenty that can be done with the website, with events, we're going digital on a lot of our zoning. You name it, we'll find it. There's always something going on here, but definitely I thought it would be great to have help with the event piece and the website and the social media flyers, things like that, because I'd really like to beef that up with COVID over. I'd love to see us add more for the community. So I thought she could be integral in helping me with that.
Any comments or discussion?
No, I think that there's a need for it. Be an
Sounds like-
intern.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a need for it. And sounds good to me.
Okay, so do we need an official motion setting our salary? We've done $12.50, I think, for the other interns? Is that what?
Well, and I'd like to say one thing too, is one of the things that I would be interested in learning more about is how we can encourage young people, high schoolers or younger, on taking careers and to be first responders in fire and police. And I think that if this does move forward, I would really like to see some research on that, maybe some suggestions on how that could be encouraged, because it's a big problem. There's not enough people going into that. There's more jobs available than there are people. So how do we encourage people to learn more about it? How do we get them to pursue that? So that would be something I think you could probably offer some good perspective on that, being in high school yourself.
How many hours a week this be, or?
So based on the conversation we had, she does have, there's several vacations, and I plan to work with her. I'm thinking 15, 20 hours a week type of thing. There'll be some weeks where she's out of town. Again, we have a limited number of weeks left in the summer, but I really do feel like I could put her to work. And to your point, some of the finding out some of the information or giving suggestions, talking to other kids in government, because there's that whole task force at Fairfield too that she could tap into possibly.
I can say that before I applied here, I was working with very much notice during the school year, just kind of whenever he needed me, but I think that kind of speaks for itself on like my dependability and my communication with being able to really plan going forward in the school year versus.
So you think that's a plus and not a minus working with the mayor?
I think, no, that's
Be-
not what
be-
I said.
be-
I think
Well, be
that-
careful, because
I
we're in the
think that
township.
The experience in both his business side and his political side was beneficial, not necessarily saying that I agree with everything. I think it was a distinct.
I don't either, but so we agree on that.
Okay, so 15 to 20 hours a week.
Yeah, and we would need a motion.
Okay.
A motion, and the other interns who are doing great, I believe you voted in at $12.50 an hour.
Okay.
Good.
So let's see, I moved to, well,
We
should
add
we
it
do
to
this?
the agenda first?
Yeah, we should probably add it during the motions section.
Or do we need to do our background check first?
Well, I was just going to authorize a position. I was going to authorize the administrator to fill the position. But we can add that to a motion. Care to weigh in?
You can, I think you could make the motion now if you want to do it. If you want to move to amend the agenda to add a motion to appoint a summer intern, and then move the next to appoint Olivia. They took her
Yeah,
resume
can you
down.
put
but
your last name up, please?
Oh,
Can you get her last name up,
A
please?
motion to appoint Olivia as a summer intern at a, working 20 hours per week at $12.50 per hour.
That's a lot of money.
A little less than you pay me.
40. Okay.
Okay, I move to amend the agenda to add hiring and creating and hiring a summer internship position at the rate of $12.50 an hour for approximately 15 to 20 hours a week for the summer.
Second,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes?
and I move to appoint Olivia Gillian to the position, working 15 to 20 hours a week at $12.50 an hour for the course of the summer.
Second,
Provided she passes all of our checks.
Provided she passes our appropriate checks.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes?
and that motion passes. Welcome.
Start tomorrow at 7 o'clock. You'll be the only one here.
Great. Next item, please.
Next item is revisiting the youth commission that Mayor Rodas and the city of Fairfield brought to the township. I did have a meeting, pulled together all of the department heads to get input, and we do believe that we can offer some kind of program. I don't know that it would look the same as the city, but we calculated there's maybe 7 or 8 months to work with them. So there's programs like the CPAA and Fire Corps. There's zoning things. I can take them around, introduce them to all the departments. I mean, I believe as we talked, we believe we can find enough to have whatever students are interested at least once a month. But with like the CPA and Fire Corps, that could be an ongoing thing. But we do think we can work to accommodate a group. And we have a list of names. They're Fairfield Township students, some of which I actually know from working at the Y. Great kids. So I just needed the board's blessing to go ahead and proceed. I don't know that I want to make sure there's interest on your part.
My main concern is that it's something that the staff can accommodate and that isn't going to interfere with their daily operations. And if it's something that you're comfortable with, and if we've designed a program that will work within our business parameters, then I'm fine with that. Other thoughts?
Well, I want to know how many. Maybe we need to limit that again to
It was 8.
8.
They had several for the law director, but we explained that that would not suffice. So it was 1 for fire, several for police, several for public works, several for admin, several for fiscal office.
So would the ones that wanted law, would they pick another choice, or are we going to leave them out?
No, the city is going to go ahead and absorb them because Clemens and Walterman are going to work with their right there in proximity. So they'll absorb those kids. So we would structure it different than the city because we have a different bandwidth, a different number of departments and staff and capacity, but we do feel like we can do something that would be beneficial in helping them learn and support that program, but also make it practical for the staff here.
And I would, to get started, and maybe you've already done this, have your objectives for each department, or so that each student knows what's expected of them. And I don't know that we have a test at the end, but some type of checkup to see how the program went and what they thought of it.
They could do some evaluations, and I would encourage the same thing that I already said to Miss Olivia, and that is I would like to know if they could get some weigh in on some input on the issue of first responders. And because again, they're high school students too, and perhaps they have some unique insight. I'd like to have them do some kind of a give back to the township. They could pick a project, they could do something in the parks, they could, again, the research part of how do we encourage more people to be first responders. I would like there to be some kind of a give back because we're giving to them. I'd like there to be something,
Understood.
a capstone or something of that variety.
We did discuss, yes.
And Mayor Mitch did say that they do have the ability to do some tasks and activities too. And I would like there to be some kind of give back. Any comments from staff on it? You don't have to, but okay.
I think anything to encourage our youth would be fine.
Okay.
You have any comments, Jeff?
Anything further on that? Okay. Morris Road property.
So you will see here, and we have the residents here, Sean and Andrea. Thank you for attending. So this is the property that's been in question, and I think you're all familiar with where on Morris. Um, just to recap from last month, you came in, presented. Since that time, we've been in contact. I've been by several times when it's raining, as have some of our other staff. We have, let's see, Jeff and Mike Bridges, Chuck and I, we all came out once. I don't believe we met with you at that time, but we did come out and take a look and get pictures. You have sent me pictures such as this since then, taken video. Moving forward, it continued to rain, sending more pictures. I had Ken Geis go out with me. He has worked extensively with, I mean, I'm no expert in the field of drainage. However, I've learned a lot through Public Works and talking to Mr. Geis and then some of my engineer friends. So the situation that this homeowner is in, they're in a detention pond. They have built in a detention pond. And there is a retention pond behind them, and it comes down into a swale. Everything that has been built on that property is working as it should. However, it's inundating their property with water and at times compromising the road. So I know there's been back and forth for you. I don't know all the history with your builder and who else you worked with. I can pull up a picture you put in, trying to see what pictures I have. Well, that's unfortunate because that's where you'll see some of the debris and dead animals that come up. But they put in, if I know it's hard on these pictures, but you can see these sewer grates, and that's actually it drains into the side. That's a lifted sewer, like a top to the sewer. The sewer is down in the ground as well. So there's a whole, you put in what, $30,000 to work along there, and that's still not capturing, as you can see, what needs to happen. There's also a variety of sinkholes. The Public Works found tile underneath. They also attempted to do some piping to see if that alleviated. And bottom line is I think there's 100 acres. Chuck, is that what, was it about 100 acres of the water flow is just phenomenal. But again, everything's doing the job it should. However, now that we have the house there, that's leading to, that redirects the water. We're having issues where the road could be compromised. So the thing I've come back to the board and want to offer, if you're in agreement, is to at least have a professional engineering firm come out and do some kind of study to see what could we do? Could there be additional berms? And what would that cost be? Not saying the township should absorb the cost of the repairs, but at least help them find some kind of answer.
I'm sorry, can you make that picture bigger?
I know, that's what, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, but it's, yeah, how do I get the full screen? There we go, Sorry. Now I need.
Okay, so that picture is taken from the street. So that's in the back of your house. It's on the, is it on the north side or the south side? South side. Because the north side is where they had the rocks and things, right?
There's a,
Oh, can you put that first one back up there you had?
that wasn't it, was it? That one.
Is that your grill right there in the picture? Okay, so in the background back there,
Got too many pictures. This one, this shows how it weaves through the backyard. So that's before it becomes just over flooded, which were the pictures you saw before this. So that's the same angle. We do have pictures from the other angle as well that has the swale coming from the retention pond. So both sides are problematic.
I mean, do you have one of the north side where it might show some of the actual retention that's back there?
I do. Let me find it. I apologize.
That's all right. I'm trying to see what those structures are back there.
It's the pond that's over there in Ascot Downs. That kind of goes right into their
Oh,
property.
yeah, I'm just, again,
So that's not on any of these, but the pond is like right there.
it doesn't come over there, for lack of a better word, dam. It's all coming through their pipe. Yeah, it's coming off the rest of the subdivision. Okay.
It's like with the road, is it Reaver? It's not Reaver Ridge. Yeah, River, it goes, like, there's houses there, and I think those backyards have a bit of a drop off, and there's a creek there, and it kind of flows down between those right to your property, correct? Okay. Yeah. Because it's graded like that, and it comes straight down.
Yeah, it's meant to come down there and then cross under Morris. It's just too much coming. Right. So those big brown things that are in your driveway tonight, are those something to do for that, or is a truckload of something in there? Must it? Do you have a picture from Monday night?
Yeah, I just found all the pictures too.
So as the HOA said, they're willing to drag their retention and make it deeper.
Our neighbors behind us, we talk to sometimes, and they say they are doing, but they didn't want us know that I know it's like basically fiddle. I messaged Dave the last time on my excavator came. His excavator had told me to Sean, he said, when was the last time that pond was disgusted, sediment removed? When was all that done? Because that's got to be done to make sure why they should keep records. And I messaged him and asked him lots of questions. He didn't respond to me, and then by accident, he forwarded me my message back and said it was none of his business. And then I just didn't respond. He's already told us he's not doing it. They're not doing it. And then when we get up and speak, I did actually, after calling 500 people, had one civil engineer that did come out, takes a look. However, calling civil engineers right now to work on our property is impossible. So HOA is to us now, not their problem. And then our other neighbor, why I was frustrated. Same thing, well, the water floods in the property, but it's gone in an hour, so I don't care, don't have to.
It's gone. It's gone on your property. That's right. It leaves his property and comes on yours. Right. That's what I was worried about too. Moving it across the street doesn't really solve some of your problem, but.
We're separate. So literally, we get everything coming down that side. The ditch actually works.
Okay.
in terms of, yeah, getting it across.
Yeah. And who was your builder? Todd Holmes? And what did he say? Nothing? No reply? Hmm. There should be something in there from 1990 when they built that subdivision, 1988 or 89. And there also, and there's also, all of us pay money to the county for some type of drainage supervision or something, but they act like they don't know you when you have a problem. You know, they'll take our $80 a year or something, but then, oh no, well, talk to somebody else. So that can be pretty disappointing when you think about it. Yeah, well, somebody's got to make them do it.
Okay.
Gosh.
We'll give you a chance during the public comments to speak more on that topic. Okay. Anything further?
Not until my administrator's report.
Okay.
So, and you're recommending that we find an engineer? Any idea what that's going to cost?
I really don't. I really don't.
It depends on what you want the
The
engineer to
scope.
do, but I recently hired an engineer who specializes more in hydraulic kind of issues to repair a road because water was coming onto a road in Pierce Township. And I think the cost for him to go out there and take a look around and then figure out what it was going to take in order to fix the problem was in the $5,000 range. I think he charges about $100 an hour. Very reasonable, did a very good job. He ended up fixing the problem for a reasonable price. I can give you his name. Like I gave it to Ken.
So we can get a quote for that and maybe discuss that at the next meeting.
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
So would you like me to get three quotes?
of course.
Okay.
Is it possible, Ms. Mondahar, that you could contact the HOA or have somebody
Absolutely.
contact them and on a more official capacity?
Absolutely.
And make them, if they're not aware, make them aware of the problem. And
And I think that the governing body for HOAs might be the Secretary of State. We'd have to research that and find out, but there is a governing body, Larry, you might know that, or that does have purview over the HOAs in the state. I believe it's the Secretary of State, but I could be wrong. And that might be an avenue to pursue as well.
I think the problem with the HOA, I think, is with them, if this is a problem, we don't know that yet, is that the retention basin needs to be inspected and cleaned. And if that's the issue, that should be the county, I would think, that would have jurisdiction over that. My HOA, the county has jurisdiction over the detention pond
Okay.
or the detention basin.
So it could be the county for that, and it could be
Right.
I guess, the Secretary of State or whoever for the HOA
Right.
management, perhaps.
so that's the other place I don't know if you've talked to. them.
Chuck has.
The
Chuck
county?
has. No, not the county. I haven't talked to the county, but I plan to talk to the county. Everything I've been told is it's really not an HOA or county issue, but of course I'll pursue those avenues.
Well, my concern would be road integrity, because
Okay.
that could be an issue.
And that's a lot of why I brought it
Right.
to the board.
It's certainly an HOA issue. It's just, I don't know
Sure
that we
is.
have jurisdiction to sue the HOA. It may be if they're creating a nuisance of some kind, we could take a look at that. But certainly I would think that the county would have some jurisdiction over if it's causing drainage issues.
They were out. So even predating me getting involved, Jeff and Chuck, the county, Todd Holmes, they all met. That was interesting.
So, not good, huh?
They're passing the buck.
I will say,
Okay, I won't ask any more questions about it then.
Not Todd.
Yeah, I want to.
And if it sounds like you're thinking of seeking legal representation and filing a lawsuit. So from what you just said about your July 1st new job, if you're thinking about doing that, I would be careful what you say and any comments that you make here, okay? Your lawyer would probably tell you not to say anything.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about, I received that legal insurance regarding, HOA, because I actually called the Secretary of State of Ohio. And they told me it was not their problem.
Oh, it isn't? They don't have, okay,
They told me they had no jurisdiction, that I would have to be legal.
okay.
Well, and you know, if we spend any money, we're going to want our money back. So somebody's going to be held accountable. That's the way I look at it. I'm only one vote, but if we hire an engineer and he tells us it needs to be dredged or whatever the word is, and it should have been or whatever, Larry loves litigation.
And we would have standing to do that if
That's right.
what Julie said is true, which I think it is that the drainage is causing an issue in the road. And, you know, in the wintertime, if that road freezes or becomes a hazard and we know about it, then there's potential liability.
It could
We-
wash out. It could be
Right.
like the Yellowstone National Park. You know, it could wash out, and we'd be sitting here saying, "Gosh, what happened?"
And
So
that's why we got involved with it in Pierce Township, because the water was going across the roadway. And once that happens, then there is, would give us standing to try to recoup our money from the person who's causing the problem.
I'm not an engineer, but if that pond is half filled up, I know where the next half of water could go in that pond, right?
Just for clarification, for the Ohio Revised Code, it is the authority of the Ohio Secretary of State, and it's not to be enforced by the Ohio State.
Okay, so we'll discuss, you'll have public comment times. There's one other old business item that Mrs. Vonderhaar,
Yeah, it's new, part of the new business, actually.
or new business.
And then I'll have more to report during the administrator's report. I wanted to bring this before the board. I did write letters of commendation for Chief Shabali and Captain Lanier, and that passes on to their team as well. So is it okay if I read the chiefs? Chief Shabali, I am writing to thank you for your leadership and efforts displayed on May 26, 2022. During a difficult situation at a local Fairfield Township business, you and your department took charge and worked collaboratively with local law enforcement to secure a very serious situation. As always, you exceeded expectations and worked as need dictated. Many of your employees, especially Captain Doug Lanier, worked extremely long hours to ensure the safety of all. Over the past months since the incident, not only you, but the captain, your detectives, officers, and many of your community partners have worked to apprehend a possible suspect, reassure local businesses and the community, and maintain proper reporting and communication with the necessary departments throughout Butler County. Thanks to your efforts and the efforts of your team in surrounding jurisdictions, excellent work has been performed and a possible suspect apprehended. Throughout your tenure at Fairfield Township, I have seen your department grow in both appearance, demeanor, and respect throughout the community and county. You have strengthened training, command, safety, and community relations, including relationship with surrounding jurisdictions. Thank you for taking the time to investigate everything and anything I place before you, and I mean everything that I bring to him, and for using your skill set you have gained over many decades of police work to continuously improve the Fairfield Township Police Department. The administration and board sincerely thank you for your leadership. The community is better today because of your dedication. Your work ethic, critical thinking, and constant team member mentality are appreciated. Thank you for being part of the Fairfield Township team and for serving as the police chief.
Thank you, Mike.
Speech.
It's the team that got the job done that day, including a lot of regional assets, everybody in the area, including Warren County State Patrol. I know I'm going to miss a few: Middletown, Hamilton, the burn unit with the county, Sheriff's Department was en masse. Everybody really worked hard to put it together. Had we not had that teamwork, because the gentleman left the area and he was tracked, had we not had that teamwork, we may not have caught him. So very violent individual, as you well know, very violent. So it's a good thing that we took him off the streets. But again, it's the team effort. It wasn't really me. It's the team that was here that took care of it.
And I have a letter for Captain Lanier as well, and his work with the press, and your communication with me, his communication. And I'm getting that the same with every department, but this incident was scary to a lot of the community, and it's uncommon here. So I wanted to recognize that.
Thank you.
And I will tell you too, I spoke with Sheriff Richard Jones about this incident, and he was complimentary of you and your team and the collaboration that took place during this incident. So thank you for that. I'm glad we got him. Now, if we just can do some things about bail reform, it'd be a lot better. Which, FYI, there's an initiative on the ballot in November because currently the bail issue is that public safety is not taken into consideration when bail is set. So while the gentleman that did this particular crime was out on bail, he was released on bail based on what he could afford and not released on bail based on the seriousness of his crime or danger to the public. So that's why his bail was set, I believe, at $200,000. And he was released on bail and he was allowed to go out and do this horrible thing in Fairfield Township. And that's not okay. So there is in November a ballot initiative which would change the Ohio Supreme Court's ruling, because they are the ones that ruled, that said you should base this on what the person who did the crime can afford based on danger to the public. And my personal opinion is that it needs to be changed so that the judges can do their job and make the judgments that certain people should not be let out into the community. And I personally don't think that this particular suspect should be let back out into the community. I believe he's standing with no bond right now, but
That's correct, yes.
that could change.
Yeah, the attorney's going to make another effort to try to get him out, but at this moment in time, he has no bond.
Correct. So thank you for your good work.
If I may comment, I really don't think the quick response would have happened and the collaboration with all the different agencies without the leadership of Chief Tribali. I think it goes without saying that we've seen a vast improvement in our police department since he's taken over. And I would say that talking with other people involved, it is your leadership and that your staff also follows that leadership. And I think that without you there, I think that this would have been drawn out a lot longer. I mean, within 8 hours, the suspect was apprehended. So thank you very much for that.
I very much appreciate it. It's teamwork. It's a teamwork we've developed. So thank you very much.
Okay, anything further? Next.
Madam Chair, before we go to communication, when we have a quick recess, just a couple of minute recess before we move on,
Yes.
that'd be okay.
So let's take a.
Make it 9 o'clock.
Just
I'm
a
gonna
couple,
go to
5 minutes.
Frisch's and get a
5
sandwich.
minutes. We'll go ahead and call it 10 just to be on the safe
Okay.
side. So let's take a 10-minute recess and then we'll move to the next portion of the meeting.
All right, thank you.
8:38. We will reconvene. And just as an FYI, we are continuing to live stream during the break. We're not going to shut that off. We'll continue to live stream.
We're hopeful not. That's our answer.
There's currently serving jerk waiting for me on my kitchen table and. Just like what I'm literally here until I guys. Or something like that. I'll send you the exact names and then I don't know if maybe see another motion if you can fit in his hands for the summer. All right.
Thank you so much. Good luck. Thanks. I got it.
She is very impressive.
I'm telling you, she came in, I was like, yeah.
Look on her feet.
The door.
Yeah. Yeah. He was part of the government. That was the way the rate was written. It was going to be done. Authority. Yeah, I talked to him about that. Our thought is unless we change it. And I really believe that circumstances have changed. Over the last week. I thought liquidity, capital markets. Sure. So that I think may change. Okay. I'm no expert on that. I just want to make sure that we weren't. I don't think you are. I think we do. Great.
Okay. Okay, it is now 8:38. We will resume our meeting. So, communication. This is the portion of the meeting where you, the residents of Fairfield Township, are invited to share your thoughts with the board. Please know that this time has been set aside from the board to listen to you. Your comments are valued and will be taken into careful consideration. The board will not engage in dialogue at this time. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes each. And I believe our applicants, you're on the list, but you don't require any further time, correct? Okay. So I will move to the next person, which is Sean and Andrea Carlock. If you'd like to approach and name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes once you begin.
Sean and Andrea Corlock, 7348 Morse Road. I think since the last time we've been here, our land has flooded 4 times. Again, neighbor doesn't seem to care, says he's fine with his yard flooding, not a big deal. Trying to work with him as a solution, but it seems impossible. Like we said, we get tons of trash, sticks, rats, dead rats washing up all the time. Imagine having kids and this stuff being in the yard. We've had a lot of neighbors tell us on Morse Road that the lot always flooded. Again, we weren't familiar with the area. Again, that's when I was talking to you about how did permits get approved through the township. I don't know. I just feel like the amount of water that's flooding our property is not safe. If my grandson was outside, it would easily take him under the culvert and he would drown up on their side. And then like we've talked about, there are times where water does go over the neighbor's yard, over the road. When we had that torrential downpour a month ago, you couldn't even pass over Morse. At times on the detention runoff side, it comes right to the road. I'm sure it's going to go over, and it may have. We just haven't seen it.
Also,
Honestly, when it's storming, I go in my room and I shut the door and I cry. I don't even want to look outside. HOA keeps telling us not their problem. Don't ask them for anything. Like I stated, he accidentally, I believe, texted me, meaning to text someone else, and said, "I'm not telling them anything. We don't have to tell them anything." Every time it rains heavy, that detention runoff is flooding. And on the opposite side, just constant flooding. We've had some companies come out and give us some quotes on retention walls. Well, you don't even want to know what those quotes are. They're almost over a third of my house. And the reason I post on Facebook is just because I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do. Do we walk away from the house and lose everything? I don't know that answer. But I know my daughter, every time it's storming and it's raining, she's crying. I'm crying. I don't sleep. We don't sleep. The morning I text you, I didn't sleep at all. I went to work that day on 0 sleep. I will let Sean talk about the civil engineer. After we spoke, it rained again. I probably talked to 20 different companies. They all told me they were busy with industrial. They wish they could help, but they are too busy. One man did call me back. Very nice. I don't know him personally. It was John Evans from John Evans Engineering. He did say he could come out and look. He couldn't promise that he could commit due to his workload. And then I'll let Sean talk and say what he said, because I was not home when that happened.
when he first came out, we looked at the south side of our house where all the water's coming from Ascot Downs. It's coming through I haven't been over there, but it's like a creek, I guess. And he looks like he's dug it, and it comes right to our yard, and that's where it releases. And so we had to put drainage pipe in, and it's not helping. So he said some different ideas about there's a hump down by the retention or the culvert by the road. There's a hump right there. He said that needs to be wiped out, and that's a swale needs to be put in right there. And that would take a lot of that water away from the house.
That's in the neighbor's yard.
It's in the neighbor, but everything's in the neighbor's yard. Nothing's in our yard. Everything's over in a neighbor's yard. So we looked at that, and then we went up to the other side where the retention pond runs off. And he said, first thing he looked at me and told me, he's like, that's not being maintained.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're actually at 4 minutes.
Okay.
Can we meet with you? Can we have our administrator and our staff follow up with you on this new information? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we'd be happy to. All
Can we see
right.
the pictures?
Yeah,
Can
if
we
you
see
want to leave the
with us?
pictures with us, and yeah.
You have copies, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Videos.
Okay, next we have Maria Tangi. If you can please approach and state your name and address for the record.
Maria Tangi, 1891 Harvard Street. I am I don't know what the word is, but I started a community garden here in Fairfield Township on Harvard Street at 1884 Harvard Street. And this is the Facebook page. And I just want to go through our process so far. That is on our Facebook page. Feel free to go. It's the number 5, POINTSCG.org. That's our website, but in Facebook, that's what it is. All right. So, Julie, when she's ready. This is the beginning when I started. Hey. And then this is when Jeff and them came out and tilled the property, and we did that like right before winter started. And then we started laying out the beds the pathways with cardboard and wood chips to give us, so we wouldn't have grass there. We want to make sure we have the least amount of grass as possible. Okay, go ahead to the next one. Here we had some volunteers that we have coming to certain events. I post the events on the Facebook page, and like 7 o'clock on a Thursday, let's go hang out and weed or plant some plants. As you can see, we've got actually a little water rain barrel that we have created. It's working pretty well. So there's the rain barrel on the left and then a little compost barrel on the right. And this is where we're at right now. And if you go to the garden, at the beginning of every other garden is a little piece of laminated paper, and markered on there is the bed, like bed 1, and then on the other side it'll say bed 2, and it'll tell you what's in the garden, at least that we can remember, because some things have moved around with some of the rain. So if you just click on the picture itself. Yep. Thanks. Or not, I don't know. It worked earlier when we did this. Well, while she's doing that, some of the things, oh, here it is. Okay, we built a give a plant, take a plant. So right now we have some marigolds and tomatoes and things like that on there. So anytime you have a plant or you want to plant, go by and see if, oh my gosh, my phone's ringing. That's crazy. Okay, go by and see if we have any plants. Here is our signage. We have our QR code there so that you can scan it and log on to our link tree, which then will will put you into what our events and things like that. And one more picture. And here we have a little sign and it says in the garden, and it'll tell you the time and date of the next planned event that now I say event, but when I know I can be there and we can walk through what needs to be done. And so last Friday we did some planting, weeding, and watering and just like hanging out. So just keep an eye on our Facebook page specifically to join us in the fun. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any tomatoes to pick yet?
Not to pick, no. Oh, wait, real quick. I just want to say thanks to the township because they were, I guess, hanging out at the property. Not hanging out. I don't know why they were there, but some people came by and asked questions and they promoted the garden, and then they came back and volunteered. So that was super excellent. Thanks.
I like what you're doing over there. It's just a good, nice thing to do over there. And
Only one, right, in the township?
Yeah, it is. I like it.
Oh, I forgot, you guys. I'm sorry. I have been asked to do an interview with Butler County Connect about the community garden. So there's that.
Lovely. Okay. Next person, we have Michael Yater. If you'd like to approach, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Michael L. Eater Jr., 1116 Hayes Avenue. I stand here in a situation in which I watch the township stroke its own ego, feed its own want and need, while ignoring the wants and needs of its community. You appraise the police chief and Captain Lanier, while I've met with several dozen people that have complaints directly against Fairfield Township Police Department, including people being put in jail for false allegations consistently. I was told by this township for almost 2 years you do not have the ability to enforce Butler County domestic court orders. You guys, per the police chief, were not going to send officers to exchanges between me and my wife unless it was an absolute emergency. You guys have consistently continually refused to provide police officers at my behest and request for the better part of 2 years. Then, this past week, my wife and I had an exchange in which we agreed my daughter was going to stay with me an extra night, but she decided to back out last minute. An officer did respond in a non-emergency in which nothing was done, nothing was said. And again, I was told by an officer to my face that they have to enforce Butler County court orders as written by the Ohio Revised Code by one of your officers. 28 days without being able to see my daughter because you weren't able to enforce the Butler County Revised Code. All of you here have consistently told me you can't, including the law director, and yet now all of a sudden you guys can 2 years later. Is it you can or cannot? I've asked to meet with all of you here. You all consistently continually refused to meet with me after saying you guys would meet with me. You guys have been nothing but disrespectful, dishonest, and been able to continue to hide and prevail and try to miss things when it comes to accountability. It's a responsibility of people when it comes to the community to actually make sure the elected officials and police chiefs specifically are being held accountable. It's why you cannot get young people to be police officers because of the view that police officers are seen currently in the community because they're not withholding and upholding the standards of the Constitution of the state of Ohio and the Ohio Revised Code, which you're sworn to enforce. That is why you're unable to get young students and young people to become police officers, because they see all of the issues and inconsistencies with the application of their legal law, including telling me for 2 years you can't enforce Butler County Revised Code, to then turn around and tell me we have to. Which is it? I've consistently asked for it to be a simple and easy application and fair application of the law, and it's only being applied when the person is a female, not a male. You have no problem throwing me in jail for an insurance card, but at the same time, you've consistently allowed people to do things like following, stalking, and harassing without providing a police officer when requested, and have actually refused to do so. So which is it? I will continually keep coming every single month and continue to hold you guys accountable into elections if need be. I run social media pages. I run a lot of stuff. I want answers from you guys, and you sit here being disrespectful, looking at your phones, looking away, and being pervasive and trying to hide behind things. I sent you guys an email. You guys shared it 71 times, including sending it to New York and Langley, Virginia. He's getting upset and his face is twitching because you guys have consistency. You guys are trying to hide things. You guys are smirking and laughing. I was asked to be respectful here. I'm trying to be respectful. You guys are not being disrespectful to me. This is the problem with officials that operate here. You guys wonder why you have budget shortfalls. You wonder why people are talking about actually and possibly dissolving the entire township. You have people who are upset and wanting to rezone out of the county. Nice white eyes, thank you. So the question is continually going to be month after month until you guys actually meet with me like you guys promised as to what is the actual Ohio Revised Code. Julie offered, then retracted. The police chief offered, then retracted. Law director offered, then retracted. These are you guys as elected officials. They consistently say that they will do something for you, but they will give you nothing but excuses and kick the can down the road. That is the problem. That is where you're developing things. This is where things get missed, lost, and consistently happen. I've met with fathers that were put in jail for butt dialing somebody in Fairfield Township.
You're actually at 4 minutes right now.
Thank you very much. I'll be back next month.
If I may comment, Mr. Yater has spoken at several of these meetings now, and I've listened very carefully to the comments that he's made. Based on the nature of the comments that he's made over the course of these several meetings, I'm going to advise you not to respond to him, not to speak with him. That's my advice as the law director. I will deny the allegations he made with respect to me.
I talked to you on the phone. I have it recorded.
I'm talking, you're not, your time is done. I deny the comments that he attributed to me. We have investigated every allegation Mr. Yater has made. The police chief has investigated every allegation Mr. Yater has made. We are convinced that the Fairfield Township acted properly, acted in their usual excellent manner. And I will note for the record that Mr. Yater has made 2 public record requests. The police department went to the trouble to fulfill those record requests, informed Mr. Yater that the records were waiting for him, and he hasn't bothered to pick them up yet.
Because you are charging me with it,
Excuse
and yet
me.
you have not charged my wife.
Mr.
What you did not
Yater,
provide.
you're done speaking for the evening. You're welcome to have a seat.
You guys said you
Please
would
leave
not
the podium.
embark in dialogue, and you guys are embarking in dialogue. Therefore, I'm going to respond.
Your time is over.
You
Please
did not
sit.
charge my wife to
Thank you for
take
your
them.
comments. You can have a seat. Thank you. Thank you, Larry, for comments. I appreciate that. Okay, can we have the,
Okay, so let's move on. We will now do fiscal officers, recommendations and reports, please.
I don't have anything this evening. If anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Motion to suspend the reading of the minutes.
Second,
Trustee Harkemaier,
yes.
Trustee Birding,
yes,
Trustee McAbey,
Yes, motion to approve them.
Oh, wait, that resolution passes. Motion to approve, yes. And second on that,
Trustee Harkemaier,
yes.
Trustee Birding,
yes,
Trustee McAbey,
Yes,
That passes.
motion to pay the bills.
Second,
Trustee Harkemaier,
yes.
Trustee Birding,
yes,
Trustee McAbey,
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. That passes. Administrator's report, please.
Very few things. In addition to what we've already talked about, we are working on a continuous continuity of operations plan right now, which, considering the storms and COVID and the different things that have happened, we'll be presenting that to the board in the near future. I've already let you know we're working on a wellness team to incentivize and improve the use of Go 365. I wanted to thank, and Matt, if you wanted to give some statistics on the storm, there was extensive damage, including to, I believe, the fence at the Public Works building. But Matt, I think you had a couple statistics related to that. Chief Thomas, Assistant Chief Schuman, Public Works, they were all out, all the officers in both departments. It was a lot of work and a lot of hours.
Yeah, I can say, I mean, I've been with the department for 20 years. It's probably one of the worst storms, at least with storm damage, that I can remember coming through the township. But we did, just the fire department alone, 27 incidents within 2 hours. That doesn't include mutual aid coming in or going out. I know Liberty Township, they came in to help us for a little bit, cut up this tree right over here on Milliken Road for us so cars could pass through. So without those collaborations and working relationships that we have with not just internally with our road department and police department, but externally too, it's hard to make this stuff happen as well as it did on Monday without that stuff. No different than the Walmart stuff and the collaborations that everybody has with that. You know, it takes time to build those things. And I want to commend Jeff and his team and Chief Tabali and his. Without all of that stuff, it would have been a much longer night for everyone, I think. So I just wanted to give a kudos to everyone for that. If anyone hasn't been by the fairgrounds, which is in Fairfield Township, Duke Energy has set up their base of operations there for the entire region. So if you go down Route 4 to Fairgrove and see all the power companies, all the contract trucks, all the tree stuff, they're all down there, and that's where they're being dispatched from. So if you see a lot of folks there, don't think that they're not out doing work. They're actually rotating crews. So people come there, rest, eat, all that kind of stuff while other folks are out working. So we've partnered with EMA. We were helping EMA Monday and Tuesday and even today. They're all down there. So those collaborations are really neat to see come and work when you have this stuff happen in your own county.
Yeah, that's the fairground. So that was Duke Electric chief and assistant chief were down.
And I think that the important thing to note too is the EMA, Butler County EMA, they practice, they train, they prepare, they get ready for this kind of thing. And so when it happens, they know what to do. They do a good job.
Thank you. And the only other thing I have is I need to approach the board about the Nair deal. And if I've heard from each of the board members, like I've heard your opinions, I need to know if we're going to move forward with self-funding or taking debt. And the recommendation from staff has been to take debt.
It's through the Port Authority.
That would be correct.
Still would be our debt though, right? You got it? It would be our debt. Right?
But the Port Authority would carry the debt, but
They'll carry the debt, but we are guaranteeing the debt, right?
well, the builders also they're guaranteeing as well, dollar for dollar.
Dollar for dollar. Can you help me understand that?
Well,
Larry?
on the risk, there is minimal risk because they gave
Well, it's
us.
minimal risk of paying it back. but
Yes,
we're
correct.
responsible.
That's what I
Fairfield
meant.
Township is responsible for it.
Correct.
Right, Larry?
I would say yes.
And if it's issued through the Port Authority, and I've already made my opinion, I don't think we need to be borrowing the money. Adding on, the interest rates have gone up again today. It's just to borrow $800,000, it's going to cost us 2.5 or more to pay that back. So there's a 1.7 million reasons not to do it, and we have the money. So
While Trustee McAfee makes a very good argument, and I tend to agree that, as a homeowner, I wouldn't really want to borrow money if I had it to spend. I'm a little leery of spending down our cash balance right now, considering that we do have a developer willing to, well, we signed an agreement with the developer having a guaranteed minimum payment, which covers the cost of our payment. So to me, the way I look at it is that we're just not going to make as much tax revenue, so to speak, on this investment or on this property as we would until it's paid off. I'm a little leery spending down our cash, because if we do have an emergency or do need to borrow money in the future and we have a small cash balance, I'm worried about what that would do to our rating. And so I did talk to Mr. Geis. I asked for his opinion, and he assured me that, if it was him making the decision, he's not trying to put ideas in my mind, but he said that if it was him, with his experience, he would take the debt as opposed to spending down that cash. And I value his opinion. And so I'm leaning, well, I kind of made up my mind that I would like us to go ahead and just follow through with the agreement that we made and issue the bonds and take out that debt. And then, since we do have a guaranteed revenue source, to pay off that debt. That's my opinion on it.
And I'm concerned about our cash position, especially going into the recession. So I would tend to lean more towards letting the Port Authority take that debt and then moving in that direction.
And they're taking that debt for us. They're not taking it themselves.
Right.
I mean, you say it like they're borrowing the money, and they are, but it's on our behalf, and we're responsible to make sure it's all paid back. We're sitting there with $800,000 in one RID account. It needs a project, and there it is.
When does the RID account, when can that go to the general fund?
2025. We're coming up towards the close. So to Mr. McAbee's point, Trustee McAbee's point, you could do that. On the flip side, it's going to take 10 plus years to recoup that money that could convert to the general fund when the RIDs come due. So, and again, with the recession, I think things went up 75 basis points today. There's not even a guarantee in the future that we'll be able to borrow. So, whereas borrow now before it continues to rise is the recommendation. So again, but that comes down to what you three are comfortable with, and I agree with the assessment on the cash position.
Are we hurting on the cash position, Fiscal Officer Schultz?
We have
So-
good cash position at this
So,
time.
I mean, and I hadn't heard that thought of letting that RID money, the property owner's tax dollars, sit in that fund for another 3.5 or 4 years just to move it to the general fund. That, I mean, that's not the purpose of the RIDs. And in year 4, when the first payment comes in, that money is ours. We don't have to pay it against the loan, start paying off the mortgage, basically. I thought we were going to pay down the debt, and we're getting ready to take some more. And Kim Geis, he's been great for the township, and he said that every time. He didn't want to pay cash for the fire station. He didn't want it, and Mrs. Vonderhaar, on his recommendation, probably didn't want us to pay didn't want us to refinance the 5 years on the roads. They wanted to extend it, stretch it out. It's all about policy. I think we should be paying down the debt. And as that business develops over there, we'll have that money to more than provide mean, that's where I'm at. So. I'll be voting no. If we get a chance to vote on issuing the debt, I'll be voting no. Has the developer signed the paperwork?
Yes, all the paperwork is signed.
Okay, well, that's good, because I was a little worried that, we've been that close before and the developer wouldn't sign. So
Everything is signed.
is it recorded?
We're in the process. The TIF has been recorded. The JED has just been signed. We have all the documents assembled, contacting the Director of Development to get those to them for their approval, and they get everything recorded. So that's being done.
But all three partners have signed.
Everybody's signed.
Four people, I guess it's four. Good. It's a good deal for the township. Could have been better, but again, you got to negotiate with all of this. And what would make it even more special is if we did not take the debt.
Okay.
That was all I had to report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. May we have the first resolution, please?
Resolution 2284 to approve open purchase order balances.
Motion to adopt 2284.
Second?
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes?
that passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2285.
Motion to adopt resolution 22, I'm sorry.
You should read the title.
Yeah, go ahead, please read that.
Well, I have two, Resolution 2285. One, so presented before the board is a resolution to either approve or deny, as recommended by the Fairfield Township Zoning Commission, the requested zone change and the major change to the approved preliminary PUD by First Church of God of Hamilton, Ohio, doing business as Bridgewater Church, as set forth in the zoning case number FTZC 22-2C.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve resolution 2285.
Motion to adopt resolution
Oh,
22-85, approving the
Okay.
zone change as
Okay.
as
Motion to
requested.
adopt
Okay.
resolution 2285 to approve FTZC 22-2C for Bridgewater Church.
Second.
I make a motion to let it stand for the first reading. We have 20 days to make a decision on this. We meet again in less than that, so we could vote on it on the first July meeting.
And the reason that you'd like it to be a first read is to give more time to consider.
Yes, please.
And
I'd like to read the minutes from our own zoning meeting. I was disappointed to see that there were only 3 people there voting, 3 people. I thought we had a board of 5 and we had some alternates. But I'd like to read the minutes. I'd like to make sure I understand all the ins and outs of it.
and
We'd be 21 days on the 6th. So I don't know.
Maybe.
So we'd have to have it on the 5th or sometime before
Or
that.
sometime
Are you counting today?
No.
Well, is there a second to just let it stand for a first read?
I want to make sure that we, and
It's not counting today. I got in 21 3 times.
We did. On the 21st day?
Yeah, it's the 21st day. We moved our meeting from the 5th to the 6th for next month, so. Well, I'm sorry, from the 12th to the 6th.
Right. I knew it was close.
Yeah, it is close.
It's exactly 3 weeks from today, so that's,
Mhm.
well, the day's over, so that's 20, right?
We still start with tomorrow.
Well, one day won't hurt, right?
well, I've spoken to Mr. Goins and I've spoken with Ms. Von Haar and I've done the research on this. I'm prepared to vote on it tonight.
prepared as well.
So Mr. McAbee's motion then fails for lack of a second.
As I understand it.
So we go to the normal.
Then we go back to the original motion. Is there a second? on
There-
that?
there is.
Yes, okay.
Okay, trustee Harkemaier?
So-
Oh, I'm
Any
sorry.
discussion?
So then we're going to discuss it now.
Yes.
You know, I voted against the Casey's. Of course, it passed, so that makes it a little easier for me to vote for some additional business on that side of the road. And I don't know if you have any indication of what you're looking for.
It's all within the scope of what was approved in the PUD in 2020. And the developer has had many conversations with many different vendors. But all of it, at this point, what we're asking for is the ability to adopt the PUD extension, not specifically what, who might be a part of the development process.
And you don't
And
have any idea who it might be? What you're looking for? What the
Well,
developer's looking for?
Whatever the developer is looking at, the church is in, conversation with that. We certainly don't want tire stores. We're on that page. As far as we would love for it to be some type of food industry, but as Jay said, it could be single office usage. It's certainly not going to be something that's going to be detrimental to Fairfield Township. But at this point, to get to where we've been at this process for 4 years, now the church has. And so to get to this point tonight, we're trying to give the developer more opportunity to look for more people by expanding. And then those will, any people that come back, the developer that comes back, will then have zoning for each parcel, depending on how it's divided.
So we hear this again for a final PUD?
Well, you will for the plan, right? If
For
they-
each plan that goes in,
Yeah.
each
Correct.
unit that goes in. And, this original case was approved by the Board of Trustees for the 10.752, depending on which number. And it was approved by the trustees before. So really, we're just adding another 3.33 acres to something that's already been approved. And we still would need to approve anything that goes in there. So if they have a tire store that goes in there or something that,
We can't say no to a tire store.
well, I mean, whatever,
No.
we have to approve their design and what have you. So
Yeah, it could be a pretty tire store.
could be.
And constitutionally, while we do have a plethora of tire stores in Fairfield
Yeah.
Township,
I'm okay with tire stores.
constitutionally, we can't say
I need tires.
these tire stores can come here, but these other tire stores cannot come here because I think we would run ourselves afoul
Right.
of.
And I
the
understand that.
Constitution.
So what I'm saying is that we've already approved for them to have 10.75 acres of whatever they're going to put in there. This is just going to allow them to develop a little bit more of their land. So instead of 4 businesses, it's 5 businesses or 6 businesses. So,
Or one big steakhouse.
Or one big,
and a
but-
big parking lot for all of the Fairfield Township
yeah,
residents.
it passed our zoning commission. The zoning director has looked at it, and I've had my questions answered. So
The other thing I like about this too is that you're going to be a continuing neighbor there. And so you want to make sure that the buffers and the berms are in place to keep it nice. I'm concerned, I want to make sure that the neighbors over on the other side, that they retain that. And it sounds like it's going to be there because I want them to think of this as a positive thing with the nice landscaping and spacing there too. Anything further? Mrs. Schultz, call the roll.
Sure. Trustee Harkemaier?
Yes,
Trustee Birding?
yes,
Trustee McAbee?
Abstain?
And that resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2286, authorizing the administrator to execute a salt contract with the Butler County Engineers Office for the 2022 and 2023 snow and ice control season. This is an annual collaborative. No surprise, the salt did come in higher than we've ever seen it, 85, 92 per ton for dump. And Morton Salt was awarded the contract.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Any comments, Jeff?
In 90-degree weather, it's fine.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2287, authorizing the administrator to sign renewal contracts with Humana for healthcare benefits.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? I would strongly encourage staff to encourage employees to participate in the wellness program because it really can help us reduce costs and so that we can continue to provide a good compensation package to our staff.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2288, approving repair of storm sewer piping on Greenlawn Road from Smith Corp. Incorporated at a total cost of $27,300. So this is the opposite end of where Phase 1 will begin for Greenlawn. And there was a totally collapsed, failed culvert pipe. So they need to add 60 linear feet of 48-inch culvert rehabilitation. And Jeff did receive 3 quotes and gave me a recommendation, which I'm passing to the board.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Does that go under the road or is it in the ditch? Under the road. And that's on the south end. Oh, yeah. So the road's still open. How long is it gonna take him to get in there and get it? What account are we paying this out of?
Did you put out on that?
Do you have a recommendation? You can do TIF.
It won't do any good for me to recommend it, but
I mean, we have TIF money. We have red money. We have JED money. Your
got all
choice.
kind of money.
We got all kind of money. Your
Just
choice.
borrow some more.
If it would be, if there is RID money that this infrastructure would benefit, then this is the perfect use for RID money.
It won't. There's no rid over there.
It's got one of the 5 areas.
We just go to the normal cash cow. Is there,
You want to use ARP money?
how much ARP money do we have? That's gonna be another whole.
We
conversation.
are getting 2.4. We've got our first payment, so our second one's due anytime.
We're gonna get 2.2 million more dollars. What account's that gonna go in?
It's in
Zone fund.
its own fund, the ARP fund.
We are going to recommend the use of the ARPA fund for the additional Phase 1 money, so they would tie together.
The
The
ARPA
board is,
specifically calls out infrastructure as public governmental services that are a proper use for
Yeah, you
Fund money.
mean like the Seward Road project?
whatever.
I'm
Yes.
fine using the art money for this project if that's recommended.
We don't have the money yet, do we?
We have half.
of it.
We have half of it?
Mhm.
Has it been appropriated?
Yes,
When did we do
absolutely.
that?
At the permanent
Oh,
appropriations.
did we? Okay.
We appropriated the whole amount because we anticipated the revenue coming in for the second half any day now.
Appropriated something we didn't have. What's that fund number?
2272.
I'd say just pay it out of there if we have the money already.
Okay,
Yeah.
good enough. Ready to vote?
Yes, please.
Okay. Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
that resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2290, authorizing the appointment of part-time firefighter EMT Aiden Gleason to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $15.50 with a 12-month probationary period.
Motion to adopt 2290?
Second. Any discussion?
and remind me why they're getting less than the one we hired earlier?
Part-time compared to full-time.
Oh, this is part-time?
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2291, authorizing a then and now purchase order for paramedic tuition for firefighter EMT Joshua Lentz at a total cost of $5,190.
Motion to adopt 22-91.
Second?
Any discussion?
So how did we get in this situation of a then and now?
Want me to explain? Sure. We had authorized the payment of this tuition back in 2019, and Butler Tech billed us a small portion of it, and we paid it, and they never billed us the rest. And with the turnover at Butler Tech, they just now realized it and sent us a bill. And we have a resolution back from 19 when it was authorized to pay.
So it's an additional 9151?
No, it's an additional 5190.
Okay.
We paid the first payment.
Does it say that on here?
Yes, at the top, total cost of 5190. So they invoiced us for 3,961, in which we paid, and then the outstanding balance is 5190.
Oh, I'm looking at the old one.
Mine says 9151.
That's because you're looking at the 2019 one.
Yeah, you're right,
That's what
right, right.
So where's the 2022 one?
Well, this is it, 2291.
2291?
Yes. Do you
Well, I
have
don't-
that?
It's before that one. It's the page before.
Oh, okay.
You
Oh,
don't
here
have
it
it?
is.
It does lay it all out in the.
Yeah, it's got the
2291.
5190, okay.
Yeah.
And he's finished the plan, right? He's already a paramedic, right?
I would assume so. I'm not the fire chief, but I think so, right, Julie?
He is a medic.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Mrs. Schultz?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2292, authorizing the administrator to sign the Green Lawn Drainage Cooperative Agreement with the Butler County Engineers Office.
Motion to adopt 22-92.
Second?
Any discussion?
We've talked about this. This has been going on for a while, but I don't remember us committing that kind of money.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
We were looking for something else.
Is that your answer? I thought at most we were at 10%. Now we're
Over the
looking at-
bidding, yes. But they haven't taken it out to bid yet.
No, I thought the most we were going to pay is 10% of the cost.
From the original resolution.
I thought the grant was going to cover 90% or something like that.
I thought the grant was 100%. 343,000 was awarded from the large storm sewer, and then the small storm sewer that paid for 100%. Well, the county also used some of their funding to get the whole survey done on the land and the whole drainage and watershed. So between the small and large, everything was 100% covered at that time. So that we never had a match
Oh,
that I recall. But
And I remember, I mean, we've had this conversation and
It's been
I thought it was
years.
a small match if anything, so.
And so with the time it's taken, prices have increased. So they called and came back and said, hey, this is where it's falling now, $520,000. So you're looking, at a $270,000 deficit, or $177,000 deficit, I think, if I did the math right. And when they go to bid, as long as things don't come in more than 10%, if it comes in 10% higher than what they bid it at, then they'll have to rebid. So that's why I put a not to exceed of 250.
The drainage is the county's problem. I don't think we should have to pay any money. They've got plenty of ARP money up there.
Any further discussion?
No.
Mrs. Schultz?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birdie.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Where does it say how you're going to pay for this?
On the next resolution, you're actually authorizing the dollar amount, and it's showing, this resolution is just authorizing Mrs. Von der Hart to sign the contract.
Sign for it.
Right. Okay.
No.
That resolution passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2293, authorizing additional funding for the Green Lawn Road Drainage Project not to exceed $250,000. And this would be coming from Fund 2272, which is the ARPA fund.
Motion to adopt 2293.
Should we just, I'm sorry, wait for a second.
I'm sorry?
Say second.
Yeah, I was, okay.
Sorry.
Second.
So why don't we just add this to the debt and let the Port Authority just borrow us some more money?
Yeah.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birdie.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
No.
That motion passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 2294, declaring nuisance and ordering abatement on the properties listed below, and further authorizing the zoning administrator to initiate complaint. Properties include 1945 Pater Avenue for high grass, Seward Road for high grass. Chuck, is that the entire Seward Road? There's no address there.
No, the parcel doesn't have
Okay. Okay. 6545 Glenmont Drive for junk high grass licensing of vehicles. 6545 Taylor Trace Lane for trailer parking. 2625 Tylersville Road for junk, objectionable, noxious, or dangerous use unsecured building. 6535 Taylor Trace Lane for trailer parking. 1420 Tooley Road, vehicle parking, junk, high grass, inoperable vehicle, and 7407 Royal Way Drive for high grass.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just to back up what Mr. Goins was saying, that Seward Road is parcel ID A. A is an apple, 030000700024.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any further discussion?
I would recommend writing that in on the resolution next to the property.
It's in the attachment. I don't know if that counts or not. Is that where you read it from?
I did from the attachment.
It's in the attachment.
Well, then that's okay.
Okay.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birdie.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That resolution passes. Under announcements, the offices will be closed to observe the Juneteenth holiday on Monday, June 20th, 2022. The Bridgewater Falls Car Show is coming up on Tuesday, June 21st, 28th, 2022, of course, from 5 to 8 p.m. on both nights. The offices will also be closed to observe the Independence Day holiday on Monday, July 4th, 2022. Our public hearing tax budget will be Wednesday, July 6th, 2022 at 7 p.m. And our next Fairfield Township Board of Trustees meeting will be scheduled to be held on Wednesday, July 6th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Are there any board member comments?
The Butler County TID met this week, and not really surprised, but you know, it's public knowledge now that the North Hamilton crossing is on a big pause. The recently announced economic development of the, what's to me is known as the Cohen property, which is where I want to say almost all the possible routes we're going to go through there.
Yeah.
And now that project is, you know, 50-50 that it's going to happen, they've taken a big step back, and we've given the engineers some additional guidelines to look at what our next move is. Like I said, I wasn't really surprised at the last stakeholder meeting. They didn't mention it, but the day before, it was announced. The mayor announced it. And I had asked the representative from Hamilton about it that night, and he said more information was coming. Because I said, you know, what's the economic development? We all know about the athletic complex booking it,
right.
But what else is down there? And I said the same thing the other day at the TID meeting. What else is down there? What other property is available to redevelop? And shouldn't we be looking at this? I mean, to me, we were almost blindsided, you know, thinking about it. So the next stakeholder meeting is going to be delayed,
okay.
And we'll see where that takes us. We had a couple other projects that have been received some funding. Taylorsville Road. Today we heard that Taylorsville Road is going to get some money, and so hopefully from Gateway to 5 Points, we'll see some type of improvement. I drive that road all the time, and it's just about a dirt road. So, and then there's a roundabout at 747 in Milliken. I want to say something. There's another one that's been approved.
Okay.
And of course, you probably read in the newspaper that we got a big approval step on the interchange of Milliken Road at 75. So we're pretty busy at the TID, but I wanted to bring that up about the North Hamilton crossing, because to me that moves the connection way back up, and of course that concerns us.
Right.
That's all I have. I'll keep you posted if I hear anything else.
I'm sorry, Mr. McAfee, did you say 747 and Milliken there by the
I want to say it's 747 in Milliken. There's a
Prince of Bright Church of God
it's a roundabout
church
and
property?
I'll find out.
There's a light there now, so.
Yeah, it's we received some money for a roundabout.
Oh, okay. I do want to make a comment about the employee picnic that happened this past Saturday. It was great to be a part of that. I'm glad that it took place and that was organized, and I do want to thank the gentleman that organized it. It was a lot of families were there, a lot of good food was cooked, and I'm hoping that we can continue that. Of course, I would like to see some sort of police versus fire athletic event happening as a challenge. I think that would be fun. So
the war maybe?
Well, even the cornhole game, I mean, that could be, something, just bragging rights. My brother was a firefighter for Cincinnati, and they always had a police versus fire boxing match that raised money for charity. Not that I want that as part of the picnic, but it said it was fun to be part of that, bragging rights and all. So,
Unless you would want to land on the map.
okay.
Yeah.
I do want to thank all the departments for their response to the storm that came through Monday. Police, fire, public works, everyone responded immediately. All the residents were very grateful for all the work that was put in by our staff. And then I think we've always pride ourselves in the response that we have with our staff, and they do a good job of taking care of our residents. So I thank you very much. And again, I just want to reiterate my comments about Chief Chabali and Captain Lanier, their response to the Walmart incident. I followed it closely on the news, and everything was done so professionally. And then, of course, the collaboration with all the different outside agencies to apprehend the suspect right away so that the residents could feel safe was just tremendous. And so, again, I think that speaks to the leadership we have in our police department. So thank you very much. And of course, yesterday was Flag Day. It was appropriate that we had 2 pledges today. That was pretty unique. And but we live in a great country, and I think if we all just work together, we'll make it even better. That's all I have.
Agree. Quick note, I attended the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Board of Transportation, otherwise known as OKI. And good news on the Brent Spence Bridge. They had a kickoff meeting a few weeks ago for builders to bid on the $2.2 billion of contracts needed to build the new bridge replacement. And they are looking at an October 2023 deadline for the selection of bidders. And right now, they are looking at completing the bridge by 2029 or sooner. So this is good that they're kind of moving things forward with this. It's a very important project to the tri-state. So, and to our Fairfield Township residents that would have to use that bridge. So that's an important thing. Another interesting thing is the, if you're looking at learning more, the OKI website, oki.org, has just a plethora of information. They spent some time talking about the freight plan at the last meeting, and you can look at that at freight.oki.org. But there's just all kinds of great information on there about regional transportation. They collect a lot of data. They did a household survey where they had over 4,000 people that submitted feedback on that. And there's just they do take a lot of time and interest in looking at how that's going to move forward. Another thing too, and with assistance from our fire department staff, we held a focus group, sort of a brainstorming session with some fire personnel from across the county to kind of look at some ideas and some next steps on how we can look at addressing the fire staff shortages. We came up with some good ideas. There's some takeaways that we'll be following up with in the future, and some different task force items that we'll be working on going forward with that, because that's an issue for first responders, both fire and police, and we need to get more people to do those important jobs. So we'll be looking into that further. And I agree. I appreciate the teamwork that we have in our staff. I appreciate the fact that we work well with our neighbors, and I'm very pleased with where we are right now in Fairfield Township, and that's because of our team and our staff that we have to do these things. So thank you. That's all I have. Okay. Executive session. I move that we go in accordance with ORC 121, Section 22, Section G1, to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of a public employee or official, that we go into executive session.
Second.
And what's the topic?
It is Mrs. Vonderhaar's contract.
Trustee Harkemeyer,
Yes,
Trustee Birding,
Yes.
Trustee McAbey,
Yes?
that has been approved. We may or may not take action as a result of executive session. So we will convene in approximately 5 minutes to go into executive session.
We're going in the office.
Sure.
It's a date and milk. It's the first one. What up there? I've been getting those looked up.